Hello, everyone. Welcome to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center, with me, Andrea, as your e-guide for this event. Have you ever wondered what color looks good on you? Worry not. In our event today at JICAcademy, Introduction to Personal Color Analysis, we will help you figure out what color looks perfect on you. But before we start our event for today, I have a little trivia question for you to answer. Our question for today is, in the context of personal color analysis, which of the following is not one of the main seasons in personal color analysis? Is it A, spring, B, summer, C, autumn, or D, monsoon? If you think you know the answer, you can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and the first person who is able to answer correctly will be receiving a shout out later in the very end of the event. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our facilitators for today. We have Kak Polene and Kak Nana from JICAcademy.
All right. Hi, good evening. Wow. Thank you for being here. And thank you to America as well for the opportunity for giving us the stage to finally deliver more in-depth theory on colors. We are from Jakarta International Color Academy. Wait. Yeah. What we do is, other than accepting private color analysis services, bookings, we also do undertone research regarding skin, hair, and eye color, as well as face and body image. Right. My name is Polene. I'm the founder as well as the head researcher and color expert. This is my partner, Nana.
Hello, everyone.
As our senior analyst. Would you like to greet the crowd with a few words?
Yeah, hello, everyone. We're very excited to be here today. And again, we're very thankful for America for the opportunity. And without further ado, I think we can get on to the theory, right?
All right.
Okay.
Buckle up. Are you guys ready? That's the energy that I'm looking for. All right, let's start. So today might feel a little bit more like a lecture, kind of like going back to campus. But I don't want to be that university professor that you all hate. So let's keep it light and fun. Yeah, here we have an example. We have Taylor Swift, just to kind of know why is it important for us to know our color palette. Wait, but before that, let me check the crowd. So, any of you here are not familiar at all with personal color? No? I assume all of you are here because you all have heard of all the viral going on in the internet. Have any of you here had personal color analysis yet? Maybe one or two? No, not at all? Okay, I think that's why you're here. Okay, so we'll get really down to the basics. Um, let's have a vote. So here we have Taylor Swift. In picture A, she's wearing a lot of warm tone colors. Okay, so starting, even the background is a little bit more warm. Starting from her makeup, her clothing, and side B, she's wearing something a little bit more cooler. Blue, purple shades, right? So let's have a vote. Which do you think looks better on her? What kind of colors? Warm or cool? So if you answer A, please raise your hands. A, anyone? A bit, one, two, three, some of you. Oh, there's more there. Okay. Okay, you can, yeah. What about B? Who agrees with B? Oh, a lot of you. I should choose B. Cool though. Okay, let me just give you the answer. It's like she's actually warm tone. Yeah, so I'm actually curious why a lot of people pick this one. Yeah, the B one. If you look more closely, right? She actually looks more tired and washed out. But I can kind of get why a lot of people would pick cool because some cool shades actually make our skin tone on some people look more pale. And pale sometimes translate to white, a little bit more fair, right? So that is the current beauty standards up to this day. And until this day, JICA is still trying to break that stigma, right? But if we really compare it side by side, on side A, warmer colors actually blends in with her better. So we don't see like harsh lines. If you actually pay attention to her pores, the warmer tones, she looks so much smoother, right? And here it's just like skin texture. She actually looks more older. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, and she looks a little bit more, I don't know. Yeah, just tired and washed out. Okay, maybe this one's easier. We have Dakota Johnson. Okay. Uh, side A, bold and bright colors. So red dress, and then even her hair color is so much more saturated, and her makeup a little bit more smoky with bright red lips. Well, not that bright, but a little bit bold. Okay, and then side B is just like soft, muted, your usual MLBB nude colors. Okay, let's vote. Are you ready? Um, who picks A for Dakota Johnson? A? A? Okay. Some of you pick A. Okay. What about B? Raise your hands if you pick B. Okay, a little bit 50-50, yeah. Ready for the answer? It's actually B. Soft and muted actually suits her better. So it's not just about impersonal color, right? We don't only see whether a color is warm or cool, but also how strong a color is or how soft and muted it is. And Dakota Johnson happens to just it fits her better. Yeah, softer colors. Also, these shades are actually cooler. So she's actually cool tone as well. And the big difference, the main difference is here. Here is that on side A, the red dress, the colors are as if it's wearing her, not the other way around, right? So what we want, the main idea here is we want our colors to, sorry, we want us to be wearing the colors, not the other way around, right? The main highlight should be us, not our clothing or like our makeup. The first thing that people see about our appearance should be our body, our natural features, not the makeup or the hair color, whatever we're wearing at that time. Okay, so the answer is this one. Next, so it brings us to a lot of stigmas surrounding beauty standards, a lot of around skin tone, right? So a lot of people still think, oh, warm tone means those that have tanner skin, which is completely wrong, right? So we have here an example. Her name is Julia. She's actually Indonesian. She used to think that she's warm toned, and everyone thinks the same way as well because of her skin color. So she has a little bit more deeper on the spectrum, like a little bit deeper tanner skin. She also happens to live in Bali, so a lot of sunlight, right? And all her makeup, all her hijab colors, and her clothes used to be very warm because that's what she thought she was, right? And she did a color analysis with us. Turns out she's actually cool tone. Okay, you can see that her transformation with the hijab and her makeup is not really apparent here, but what she was wearing at that time in that photo is actually purple blush, and then the lips was also a little bit pinkish, and that's what suits her. And if you can see the difference, she looks so much more glowy. Agree? Yeah? Okay. Just checking. Yeah, and then next. Sorry, so yeah, that's warm and cool. It doesn't matter what your skin tone is. You could be very fair, pale, um, or you could be very tan, but anyone could fall under the spectrum of warm or cool or maybe in between, right? Okay. Second, we have light and dark colors. Okay, so some of you may still think, mainly in Indonesia, yeah, those that have fairer skin must suit, must look better in lighter colors. So you might hear things like, ya enak lah dia kulitnya putih jadi pakai apa aja bagus. Pasti kalau pakai warna yang terang-terang so much better gitu ya. Kayak misalnya pasti bagus kalau misalnya di aku yang aku kayak sehari-hari naik motor jadi lebih gosong kayaknya nggak cocok pakai warna putih or any lighter colors ya in general. That is completely wrong. So again, gak ada hubungannya, no correlation between your whether you're light or dark skin. Anyone can look good in anyone can have their own tendency towards lighter or darker colors. Yeah. So in here, the example is actually Anne Hathaway. I consciously, like deliberately pick her because she's actually very pale, like very white. And turns out light colors don't suit her. Like it's not giving for her. Yeah. So instead, what it's giving her is just completely dead and washed out. On the other hand, if we put like darker colors, if you pay attention to her makeup, it's actually very dark. Smoky eye, and then the nude lipstick is very dark as well. If I just copy paste that to say Julia, right? It might not look good on her or like anyone else, maybe on you guys, right? But on her, it just looks very natural because apparently what she needs is dark colors. So the deeper the colors that she wears, the better the effects are. Okay, so that's stigmas. So it brings us to the question: what is personal color actually is, right? So if it's not about like our skin tone, what is it? By definition, it's actually our natural born colors. Yeah. So the colors that we are born with, we can analyze them from our hair color, and then skin, obviously. Thirdly, our eye color. Skin in this case is not not what we see from the outside. That one we call it overtone. Yeah. So let's kind of differentiate that. Overtone and undertone, what's the difference? When we are focusing on personal color, what we're analyzing is actually undertone. Yeah. So undertone is different from overtone. It actually doesn't change to depending on your environment. Yeah. So it's very constant. It's what you are born with. A lot of people say, come to me and so if I do a color test today and next week I go Bali and then I get tanner, would the result change? Yeah. Would my colors change? Do I have to take the test again? The answer is no. Yeah, so it's actually very constant, especially after your puberty. Usually your genetics are more, it just stays there. Yeah. If I get a little bit more deeper, so if you know our skin pigments, it's called melanin, right? And melanin is actually what controls how our skin appears, right? Our skin color. Now, if you go back to your high school textbook, science book, you might probably remember that the more melanin that you have, the darker your skin would be. Yeah, that's why in certain hotter climate countries, uh, we tend to get more tan because our melanin is actually protecting us from sunlight, right? And the more melanin we have, yes, the deeper our skin tone would be. So yes, if you go Bali and then you really go to the beach every day, your melanin amount will increase, but the type of that melanin will not change. Okay, so let me try to break it down. So what undertone is not actually seeing the amount of melanin, but the ratio of what type of melanin do you have. Yeah. So we actually have two different types of melanin. There's eumelanin that controls the production of black and brown pigments, and then there's pheomelanin, which is red or yellow pigments. Yeah. So everyone has these both eumelanin and pheomelanin. Every one of us, we all have it. Yeah. But some people would have, say, 70% a little bit bluish kind of melanin, and then maybe like a 30% of like a yellowish melanin. So if they have more like bluer um, composition in their genetic makeup, then we would kind of like rule them out as cool tone. That's how it works. And so that 30% will never change. It will stay out that way until, well, the rest of your life. Yeah. Okay, let me just go on first. Okay, so that's about undertone. I hope no one's confused. I'll just go through it a little bit more later, but I think all of you are quite familiar with this seasonal thing, right? Have you ever seen this chart before? Anyone? Yes? No? No? Okay. So I'll explain it a little bit. Basically, the concept of personal color is that our human coloring can be derived from what we see in nature. It's basically the same. We are natural beings, so obviously our color palette, our genetic makeup, we can kind of color pick it from nature itself. Yeah. So in nature we have four seasons, right? In some countries we have four seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. And basically this chart, it comprises it wholly, where if we divide it into two, the warm sections are, oh, this is a little bit flip. The warm seasons are spring and autumn. So if you see, they're a little bit more orangey, brownish, and then the cool seasons are in summer and winter. Okay, so sampai situ dulu. Okay, so I'll just run through a little bit of each season. Just imagine spring. It's floral, flowers, right? So it's very warm, vibrant, peachy, and juicy. So if you actually belong into the spring season, you might want to relate to these pictures. You can kind of imagine, oh, if I'm a spring, underneath my skin layer, my color palette is actually like this. And these are the colors that you would wear. If you don't, or, well, not if you don't, I guess like, if you go further from your palette, you might not look your best. That's the thing. Okay, so summer, a lot of people think it's a hot season. So shouldn't it be a warm season? We actually call it cool here because just imagine this kind of scenery at the beach, the water, the ocean. It's very tropical, right? So we associate it with cool tones. It's a little bit more translucent, juicy as well, sometimes hazy, but a little bit softer. We see like pink flamingo, watermelon. So it's actually a cool palette. Okay, and then autumn is just earthy. Yeah, this is what a lot of people like, the palette that everyone loves. Dusty, a little bit matte, muted. Kalau di sini pada bilangnya cewek bumi, right? So that's autumn. Yeah, and it's actually, each season is actually divided into 3 subseasons. So we'll get to that later. Winter, just think of it as very cold, striking, icy, harsh. These people here who belongs to this season is usually just dead right, very cool tone. Yeah, the palette is also a little bit darker. This palette includes black and white. Yeah, we'll also explain neutrals later on. Okay, so this is the part where it gets a little bit more theoretical, I guess. A little bit more lecture-y, going back uni. I think it's important for us to know the origins of personal color. A lot of people think the color theory and all that rave came from Korea. How many of you think personal color actually came from Korea, South Korea? Yeah, many of you. Yeah. um, the first person who initiated it actually was not from Korea. Okay, so throw that out of your mind. If we go back to history, the color theory itself was actually used by, if you go back to the Renaissance, Da Vinci painters mostly, artists, yeah. So those who play with paint a lot in their daily lives, yeah. So that's where it they firstly originated, mostly in the Europe. And then if you remember, there's okay, let me just go next. Yeah. If you remember in your primary school textbooks, the prism experiment, have you ever tried that? When you put like a prism on the table or under sunlight and the white light goes through, it will create the colors of the rainbow, right? Medyo guhibiniw lah. Yeah. So that's what Isaac Newton did, and he actually invented the first color wheel that we use today. Yeah, so all the primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and if we mix them, it becomes the secondary and tertiary colors. Yeah, so just a little bit quick tip. This is something that we will also dive deeper next week, so make sure you guys come. We will be dissecting the color wheel, but a little bit apa ya bocoran. Primary colors is basically the colors that we cannot get from mixing any other color, which are the red, yellow, blue. Quite basic information. Yeah. Next, and then in the 19th century, came in the law of simultaneous contrast. Yeah. So there's this guy named Chevreul. Basically, he said that our perception of colors changes depending on their surrounding colors. Here we have an example of, you see that little box of purple in the middle of the pink and blue background? Yeah? Okay. Do you think they're two different colors? Or they're the same? The same? Yeah, but they're actually different colors. So if you see there, yeah, those are the actual colors. And then this pink and the blue is the background. Okay? So why does it happen? It's because of the background. Yeah, if we put this is very practical actually. It's been going around lately, the color theory. If you take a lipstick and then you put it on and then you ask your friend to put on the same shade of lipstick, it usually appears different, right? That's because that lipstick color acts as this small box, and then your undertone acts as the background. And so if, say, I'm more pinkish and then someone next to me is like more bluish, then obviously the lip color would appear different. Okay? Okay, next. This is another example. It's the other way around. So the small boxes or circles, I guess, in the middle, oh, yeah, they're actually the same. Yeah, the green circle, the mustard, the blues, they're all the same colors, left and right. I know because I'm the one who color pick it one by one, okay? So trust me on this. It's the same color, but they all appear as two different colors, okay? So that's the law of simultaneous contrast. And yeah, as I said, in the context of the beauty industry, this can be seen in how the same shade of product might appear different on different skins. And that is why it is important for us to know our true colors. Okay. Now, the whole debate on, like, so who was the first person who actually initiated the whole color draping that went viral, right? It went way back in the 1940s. Yeah, so it was not some European guy. I fact checked it. It was not some Korean girl. Yeah, no. It was actually this madam, this designer. I call it our founding mother because we follow her concepts a lot. Yeah, her inventions, her book as well. Uh, named Suzanne Kegel. Fun fact, coincidentally, she is she happens to be American. So she's an American artist initially, and then moves on, transition into fashion and beauty consulting as a designer, and then in the 80s she finally published her book Color: The Essence of You, which comprises all the spring, summer, autumn, winter that we know today. Yeah. So she believed that each person had a unique color harmony based on their skin, hair, and eye color, and that wearing the right colors could enhance one's natural beauty. Yeah, so maybe give an applause a little bit for the disease. Yeah. And then later on, around the same year in the 80s, this woman named Carol Jackson popularized the whole fabric draping thing to be more simplified, more simple, to be more accessible and easier to understand by the general public. And you can actually look her up on YouTube. Just type her book, Color Me Beautiful 1980, and you will actually come across this video, this exact YouTube video, and you can see that color draping process back in the 80s. It was quite interesting to see. Okay, and then later on, around 2010s, going into the 21st century, finally in Asia, Korean practices are getting more popular. Yeah, and I think in Indonesia itself, it went popular around 2 years ago in 2023. And at this time today, it is estimated that there are over 20 plus personal color consulting studios. So, yay to us. Okay, that's history. Now let's get back to the theory itself, right? So a lot of you must be confused. So what is this whole warm, cool thing? Yeah. So let me get this straight. Basically, a color can be considered warm if it has more yellow compositions. Okay, so you might want to take note of that. Yeah, more yellow, yellowish undertone. If you have an undertone that comprises more of yellow hues, means you're more likely to be warm tone. And if a color is more towards leaning more towards the blue side, the blue hues, right? We call that color as cool. Jadi cool to benar kayak dingin, cold, you know. But obviously, not we won't see anyone that's 100% blue, or else we would look like avatars, right? So obviously, someone would. There are a lot of people who just stay in the middle, a little bit more neutral. But those that are neutral are usually they have a tendency to be a little bit more warmer, so we call them neutral warm. Or if they're a little bit more cooler, then we would call them neutral cool. Okay. Okay. Now, that's what we're trying to check today. I know a lot of you are a little bit sad that we obviously can't analyze your colors one by one, but my partner actually developed a self-check tool. Yeah, so I'll hand it over to her. We'll try to see your undertones.
All right, thank you, Polene. Okay, I think it's time we take a little break from theory, right? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do here today is actually a short self-check questionnaire. Now, don't worry, it's not a test, it's not a quiz, so no grades or anything like that. And there's no wrong answer. Okay? It's just a fun little way for us to get to know ourselves better. All right? Now, everyone here should have a physical copy of the questionnaire, right? Yeah, can you hold it up? All right. But don't worry if you don't, or maybe you're watching on the stream, you can just scan the QR code on your screen right now, and it will take you right to the digital version of the questionnaire itself. All right? Okay, without a further ado, we can get on to the first question. All right. As you can see on your questionnaire, the first question, let's start with a classic one, right? Now, let's all look at the veins on your wrist. What color do they appear to be? All right. Are they more bluish or purple or maybe more greenish or maybe a little bit in the middle? Blue and green? Yeah? So just make sure you take the answer that most relates to you. Again, there's no pressure to get it right. Me and Polene are here to help you and guide you if you have any questions. So if you do have any questions, just raise your hand and we will help you with a mic, okay? Okay, I see some flashlights going here. Oh, handphone.
So, eh, no, oh.
Yeah.
So I think if you're unsure, even I'm not sure of what my veins colors look like. I suggest to just choose B, a mix of both.
Yeah.
That will probably lead you to a neutral result because most people are actually neutral, standing in a neutral area. Yeah. So if you're not sure, if you're not like 100% downright, I think I'm warm tone. You can choose option B.
Okay. Now, while some of you here are still figuring that out, I'm going to move on to the next question. All right. Second question: when you wear jewelry, which metal suits you best? So think about what you naturally gravitate towards, what you naturally grab for. Is it silver? Is it rose gold, or maybe even gold? All right. For those of you who are married, look at your wedding ring. Yeah.
I wear gold, so that gives it away. I'm warm tone. What do you wear?
I wear silver, always.
She's gold tone.
All right, moving on to the next question. Something quick and simple. What is your natural eye color? Now, is it light brown, brown, maybe dark brown, or maybe even black? Now, for those of you who are here with your friends, maybe check each other out, help each other out here. Okay, moving on to the fourth question. Let's talk hair. Now, is your natural hair color a lighter brown, or maybe a medium, or darker, or maybe even black? Okay. And also, for the fifth question, um, how would you describe the overall tone of your hair? Does it have reddish or maybe yellowish hues, or is it more neutral, maybe more ashy? Oh, which one? Can someone help us? The hues? Oh, okay. So think about your natural hair color in the sunlight. Mm, yeah.
So, for example, some people may have like completely pitch black, like a blue
Jet black.
black, jet
Mm.
black kind of hair color, and you might pick out the that answer. But for example, like me, under the sun, so this actually looks very dark, right? Like I think you might agree, it's very black my hair, but under the sunlight it looks a little bit there's that tint of brown. So you might want to consider that. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the sixth question. All right. What clothing colors do you feel best in? Now think about the outfits that always get you compliments. Okay, or maybe just what you naturally gravitate towards. Is it more cooler hues, maybe blues and grays, or maybe something warmer like yellows, maybe reds, mustard, or brown, or maybe something in the middle, more neutral? Okay, I see some of you have already done writing. Okay, moving on to the next section of the questionnaire. This is the fun part. This is makeup preferences, okay? So if any of you wears makeup, feel free to join in on this section as well. Okay, number one, when choosing complexion products, which undertone do you match with? Is it cool or maybe neutral or warm? So think of the coats of your maybe foundations or concealers. Usually they begin with a C, a W, or maybe an N. Okay. Now, which lipstick color suits you best? For us girls, usually we have around 10 to 20 lipstick products, but they're all usually the same color. Isn't that right? Yeah. Now think, is it more pinkish or maybe more peach or even red? Which type of colors make you feel best in? The same idea for number 9, but this question is more to blush, so blush shades. Is it more cooler pinks or maybe more coral or maybe something more bronzy? Yeah, something more golden. Okay, moving on to the next question, eyeshadow. Now, if you guys don't really wear eyeshadow on a daily basis, it's okay. Just circle the one in the middle. That's fine, because that one is more neutral. Okay. Okay. Last question for the makeup preferences. It's about highlighter. Do you prefer icy silver or maybe more rose gold or even bronzy, more golden highlighters? All right. Is everyone here done with their questionnaire with the makeup preferences? Yeah? Okay. Now moving on to the next section, that is contrast. Maybe going to the next slide. Oh, sorry, we have the clicker.
You want to calculate the undertone first?
It's okay. Later
Okay.
on. Okay. Now contrast here is a little more visual. Okay. So it's about what it essentially is how your features contrast with each other. So think your hair, your skin, your eye color, and your brows. Okay? Now, in personal color theory, this gives us an idea on how bold or maybe how muted your palette might be. And how we're going to test it is actually, yes, we're going to test it by taking a selfie. So get your phones ready. Yeah, everyone here has their phone. All right? What we're going to do is actually, first you're going to find a well-lit spot. Sorry, can we have the lights to the audiences, please? Yeah. Okay. So just you want to make sure there's no shadows falling on your face. Okay.
Snap,
Just
snap,
hold your
snap.
phone at eye level like this. Yeah. And make sure you look straight towards the camera. So no angle play here. Yeah. It's okay if your angle is more to the left or to the right. We want to take a picture right from the middle. Okay. Again, make sure
Nobody,
there's no shadows on your face.
nobody cares about your double chins.
All right, if everyone has that ready, just open that picture on your profile, sorry, on your gallery. Yeah, and we want to edit the picture to black and white. Now, what we want to do here is choose the most neutral black and white filter. Usually, it goes by mono. Yeah, or what else does it go by?
In iPhones, it's called mono.
Mm.
In Androids, I'm not sure.
Okay,
But anything that's not too harsh,
Mm.
yeah.
just plain black and white. Okay, is everyone here done doing that? Everyone has their picture ready? Yeah? Okay, the next step is to analyze whether you have a higher contrast or a lower contrast. And what we want to look out here is we want to make sure whether or not your natural contour and highlight contrast each other. So if you see your picture and you can see a definitive line between your contour and your highlight, it's a clear line, it means you likely have a higher contrast. But if your picture looks more blended, more soft, then you likely have a lower contrast. Okay? So here are some examples. The ones on that side, those are the lower contrast. So as you can see, their features are more blended and soft, and this side is more clear, more defined.
You can also see it from like the black versus whites. So those who have higher contrasts, it's usually very clear, like black, black, and then white, white. Black on the shadows, white on the highlights, no matter what your skin color is. But for those who have lower contrasts, usually it's just like a little bit, well, blending gray. It's just like gray all over. Yeah.
Okay, now that you all know what your contrast level is, please write it down in the little small box right below there. Okay? Okay. And that's it. I think we all deserve a little round of applause for ourselves here for finishing your very first personal color self-check. Okay? Now, before we move on, I need all of you to all tally up the points that we already gathered from the previous questions. So as you can see from the questionnaire, all of the answers that you picked equals to a point. So maybe A is 1 point, B is 2, C 3, and D 4. Now we want to add all of those points up so we can know what your undertone is. Okay, maybe anyone here still needs a little help? Yeah, just raise your hand if you do. I think they need a bit of help. You just move on. Okay.
Is anybody done? Maybe raise your hand.
Yeah. Okay. I see only a few of you here are done. It's okay. We can still wait for you. Just make sure you already know what your undertone and your contrast level.
What did you get, miss?
Neutral to warm.
Okay.
And your contrast level? Higher contrast. I see. Okay.
So it's okay if you're confused, especially with the contrast part. Usually for contrast, some of you may actually fall under the medium category, somewhere in the middle. So not completely low, not completely high, and that's okay. And for undertones, actually you can revisit that back at home. So after we'll explain everything after this, you might want to change your mind on how you fill up the questionnaire. Yeah, because at first you might fill it up based on your preference, right? And in color analysis, actually we want to be a little bit more unbiased. We want to be a little bit more neutral. Try to see, okay, what do people see we look best in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the contrast part, you can also revisit this part later when you have natural lighting. Okay, so I think that would be the most accurate way with natural lighting on your face.
Can we get a mic for, yeah, someone wants to ask a question.
In the front row?
Yeah.
Sarika, I'm still confused on the difference between low and high. Like, we already make it black and white, but I'm not sure which one is the low or high one.
I see. I think that might be because you fall under the medium category. Okay?
Do you want to come up and show us the picture?
I haven't make it black and white because apparently in my phone I tried the Instagram filter, but it's kind of like different because there's
Okay. That's okay. I mean, even at this place, in here right now, it's not really a well-lit spot. The perfect way to do it is actually under sunlight, natural sunlight, right? So you can do that later at home. But essentially, the tip for me is to see the black versus white. So if it's here in the example, you can see it's a little bit more crisp. Not the shape, yeah. So not like if you have more defined jawline or if you get chubbier, does that mean you have more lower contrast? No, it does not change. This is pigment in play, the shadow play. So if you see maybe like the hair versus skin for these people on the higher side, it's very contrasting next to each other, like light versus dark at the same time, right? And there is just a little bit more soft and blending between your hair and skin, right? You can also see your eyes. So that's how we see it as well. The white area, we call it sclera. For higher contrast people are usually, they're just like pure white, like completely like a clean white.
True white.
And then their irises are usually more like very bright. Yeah, so very like striking.
So like if
Contrast.
it's high, you can tell because it's like very contrasting, like very bold, like
Yeah, usually
like
someone
popping
who
up.
has higher contrast, it's easier to
Okay.
spot. Yeah, yeah. And same with those that are on the very low of the spectrum. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Hope
thank
that
you.
helps. Any other questions maybe before we move on?
No? Okay. So let's just remember that this questionnaire is just a very small part of the bigger picture. Okay, so you just want to keep your questionnaire handy, keep your answers in mind, because we're going to use that as a reference point in the guides later on. Okay, especially in our next module, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
be sure to stay tuned for next week. Okay, so let me just continue. What did we just do? We were actually trying to see what season you are. We focus on the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. The difference is actually in these three main factors. Okay, so these are the three spectrums of our undertone. Just now, when you filled out the questionnaire, when you tally those points, we were actually determining, kind of examining your temperature part. Yeah, so warm versus cool. And it's not like downright warm or cool. It's not binary. Yeah, so it's a spectrum. Some people will fall right at the very middle with a tendency whether you're neutral warm or neutral cool. And so for a recap, warm seasons are in spring and autumn, and if you're cool tone, you're considered summer or winter. Now, what's the difference? Usually, um, the main part is on the contrast. Yeah, so contrast is a little bit similar to chroma. Yeah, so the brighter your contrast is, the higher your contrast is. Usually you would fall under, if your warm tone would be spring, if your cool tone you would be a winter, something like that. And the softer seasons are in summer and autumn. Yeah, so the muted ones. So let me explain a little bit what chroma is. We'll also dive this deeper next week. But basically, in color theory, the stronger a color is, the purer a color is, the higher the chroma is. So it's kind of like saturation. When you edit your photos and when you desaturate your pictures, it becomes completely gray, right? And that's the same thing actually happens with our undertone. Not happens. We are born with it, right? So some people are born with just stronger colors, stronger tones. They're just pure, and they need to be wearing pure colors. Say red over there is just true red, the true color. And if you mix it with another color, say a little bit more brown, then it's not pure anymore, right? So it's become a little bit more muted, something like that. Okay, and that relates to contrast, the thing that we just checked. Now, in the middle, there's this thing called value. In short, it's basically how light or dark a color is, right? But in our undertone, we're not seeing, remember the overtone versus undertone part that I discussed, right? We're not seeing our overtone, whether it's light or dark, how our skin is, right? It's more like our undertone, whether you are more, you can withstand colors that are closer to white better than to black. So some people actually need darker colors to glow because they themselves, they have a more deeper value. I'm actually a deep myself, and I'll get onto that. And so if you belong into, like, you have a tendency to have a lighter value, you would fall under the spring and summer category. And if you have a deeper value, usually you would rule out as autumn if you're warm tone, or cool tone, you would be a winter. Okay, I hope that's not too confusing. We'll move on first. Now, everyone's like, whoa. It's not that simple, but it's actually simple, okay? So we have 4 seasons, right? Spring, summer, autumn, winter. And as I mentioned, each season is actually divided into 3 subseasons, okay? What's the difference? So just think of it like this. The 4 main seasons are the true seasons. If you're very warm tone, you would consider it to be true spring or true autumn. The difference is that the higher the position in the chart, the brighter you are. Bright as in not like light and or fair, yeah, but like you have higher chroma, you have higher contrast. So as I mentioned, spring, winter, higher contrast. The lower in the chart, so summer, autumn, softer. Okay, muted, more muted. Okay, so take that in. I'll let you process. So that's spring versus autumn, and then on the cooler side of the chart, we have summer versus winter. So the difference is just again the contrast. If you have higher contrast but you're cool tone, that means you're a winter. If you have lower contrast, means you're a summer. Okay, so we've covered two factors there, right? The temperature, warm, cool, and then the this line. Oh, where's the not? Okay, it's gone. The vertical y-axis, it's the chroma or contrast, yeah, bright versus muted. And then the horizontal axis, we have light versus deep. Okay, so if we cut it in half, we have spring, summer on the lighter side, and then this side, winter, autumn on the deeper side. Simple, right? Not so hard. Okay. um, just now, the questionnaire can only cover determining the four seasons, yeah, so the results. And in order to actually really determine where you stand out of the 12 palette, fabric draping is still the most accurate method. And sadly, we can't do it today due to time constraints. But stay tuned for next week. There will be a demo, and 2 lucky participants will come up front and we'll give you a full free color analysis session. Just a quick one, but you'll get that 12 results.
Yeah.
Out of the 12, 1 must be your best palette. Okay. Yeah. So just a little bit run through just now. What was I saying, right? About the chart. So again, the warm undertones. We have spring, autumn. The difference is actually cool, summer, winter, right? The difference between the two is actually just warm and bright. We have true spring. Okay, this is the palette. It's very bright, garden-like roses, peaches, and we have some muses here, some American celebrities who actually are in the category of true spring. There's Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Chastain. Yes, they are warm tone. Look at their hair, their makeup, stunning. And the difference with autumn is just the chroma part. Yeah. The chroma is a little bit more softer. If you remember, spring is brighter. And if you pay attention to the palette, it's so much more muted because the base color is actually brown. So if you look at your lipstick color, it has brown hues in it. It's probably not pure the primary color of spring. It is probably autumn. Yeah, so we have these people. They look very exotic. Not just their skin tone, but their undertone as well. They look so good in animal prints. And then cool tone, but high contrast, high chroma. We have winter. The softer version is summer. Pretty simple. Okay. Now, what happens to those who have more neutral undertone? Yeah. So let's start from neutral warm but bright chroma. We call that bright spring. So on the top of the chart, yeah, very bright, like completely high contrast, but still warm though. So we call it bright spring. And then the cool version is just the neighboring palette, bright winter. Okay. So that's the palette. Is very purple, kind of like Arctic northern lights. Now, complete opposite, right down here, we have the more very muted, low contrast palette, but still warm tone. We call it soft autumn. Yeah, these people are soft autumns. The cooler version is soft summer. Okay. A lot of people have debates, or like they might be surprised. Wait, Rihanna is very soft. Like, doesn't she wear a lot of like showbiz kind of makeup, like very bold? But no, her chroma is actually very low, like very, very low, completely low. Right there, very soft, right? Fun fact, Nana is also a soft summer, so
Yep.
you can refer to her if you happen also to be a soft summer. Okay, now let's kind of like forget about chroma a little bit and move on to value right now. So now in value, if someone's primary feature is more towards like light. Light here doesn't mean again your skin tone. We have Alicia Keys there. It just means that these people here actually have like a little bit more translucent kind of undertone. Imagine like a clear water, yeah, water that you drink, and then you put in like a drop of a tint of ink. The whole water bottle will turn, say it's a pink dye, so it will just with that water will turn pink. It will turn, will change color, right? So that's what happens with light people. They're quite sensitive to dark colors because when they wear something dark, then their skin also turns darker. Their whole complexion will also becomes like a little bit murky, not good. They kind of absorb that. Now this is the warm version. We call it light spring, and then on the cooler version we have light summer. Yeah, these people. You can actually try to Google up Dove Cameron or these people in the light seasons when they're not in blonde hair. Like when they dye their hair darker, they don't look good. Yeah, trust me on this. Uh, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, we have the deeper seasons. So these people, the warm version, they desperately need darker colors. I happen to be a deep autumn as well, and yes, I'm warm tone. So the requirements to be in the season is actually first you gotta be your valley gotta be deep, right? And then secondly, you gotta be a neutral warm. Some people are more warmer, some people are more neutral, but that's the main thing. And then the cooler version is we call it deep winter. And yes, Kim K is actually cool tone, and she looks very good in dark hair. You might want to compare her in blonde. She does not look good, like completely washed out. Okay, now a lot of you might want to guess what most Indonesians are, right? So a lot of people actually come up to me and ask this question. Fun fact: not all of us are warm tone, so that might come off as a surprise. Yes, most of you are warm tone, but mostly are in the category of spring. So if you look at the chart, a lot of springs here in this country. And then secondly, we have summers. By the way, this sample comes from our own studio, so basically the people that come up to us. And I think it's quite representative because we have over these 2 years, we have over 2,000, no, 1,500 clients. Yay. um, Fun fact again, the makeup industry or like the current colors that are trending are actually the autumn seasons. Yeah, if you look at, uh, if you go to the makeup store after this, you might probably see, oh, they actually have brown shades, even like red. It becomes brick red. It's not like completely red, right? But in fact, not a lot of us Indonesians are actually in the autumn season. So I find that a little bit sad because not everyone actually looks good on that. A lot of people actually looks very
It's their worst color.
very dull in those colors. Yeah. Okay, now I'll hand it over to Nana to kind of know how to put it in practice.
Okay. So how does your color palette affect your appearance? Okay, let's all go back to your questionnaire. Yeah, we have all your answers ready. Okay, so if you have a warm undertone and a higher contrast, that means you are a spring. Okay, and this is what spring looks like in practice. So as you can see, they're all very bright, very colorful colors. Yeah, as also springs, they are very they look very good in florals. Yeah, so anyone here is a spring? Maybe raise your hand. Yeah, I see a few here. Okay, even if you have a neutral warm but a high contrast, that might still mean you are spring. Okay, that might mean that you fall under the true spring or maybe the light spring category. Okay, so again, this is what spring looks like, and spring looks best in gold jewelry. So something a little bit like that. So if you are a spring, do not wear silver. Okay? Okay, moving on to the next one. This is winter. Okay, so if you have, sorry, there's a typo there. It should be cool. Cool and high contrast. That might mean you are a winter. Okay, even if you are a neutral warm, but a high contrast, still you fall under the winter category. And this is what winter looks like. So as you can see, there's a lot of blues going on in here, a lot of pinks, purples, as well as black and white. So fun fact, black and white, winters are the only season that can actually pull black and white off the best. Yeah, and winters they look best in silver jewelry, so very icy, as the name suggests. Okay. Next is autumn. Now autumn here is warm, but they have a lower contrast. So anyone here is an autumn? Anyone? Yeah. Okay. Autumn. As you might remember, autumn is the very there's a very small amount of autumns in Indonesia. Yeah. So this is what autumn looks like. This is actually the palette that everyone wants, right? All these colors. Yeah. And they also look best in gold jewelry. So as you can see, compared to spring, which is also warm, autumn here is very muted. So all of the colors are more dull, right? So none of these colors are bright. Okay. Next one is summer. Okay. Summer here is cool and low contrast. Anyone here? Is it summer? Yeah, I see a few. Okay. This is what summer looks like in practice. So a lot of blues, also a lot of pinks. But the difference with winter, the blues here, the pinks here, they are a lot more striking. Yeah. Meanwhile, in summer, it's a lot more softer, more airy. So something like this. Also something like what I'm wearing right now. This kind of pink. So more muted. It's not baby pink. Oh, sorry. It's not a bright or Barbie pink. Okay. Now for the guys. Spring, the same. It's still all primary colors, very bright, very colorful. Yeah. This one is for winter. Yeah. I bet a lot of guys wear these on a daily basis, black and white. So lucky you if you are a winter. Yeah. This is autumn. Very muted again, very soft. And this is summer. Okay. Okay, now for those of you who work in corporate, yeah, you might need this guide, batik guide. So those of you who fall under the winter category, your batik is going to look a lot more like this. So more contrasting. There's a lot more color play. Yeah. Meanwhile, in summer, it's a lot more softer, more lighter, and autumn again more dull, and spring more vibrant. Okay. Okay, now we're moving on to neutrals. You might think that black and white are safe colors for everyone, that they're neutral colors that everyone can wear them. But in reality, black and white equals to cool and high contrast. So for those of you who have a warm contrast, a warm undertone, what should you do? We're going to alternate the black and the white into something more like this. So off-white, broken white, and we're going to change the black into dark brown. Okay? Now, if you are a cool tone, okay, so theoretically you should be able to wear black and white, right? But in reality, for summers, yeah, those with a cool undertone but a lower contrast, you would actually look better switching your whites into something more off-white, so not as striking to your skin. Okay, so don't wear whites that are uniform white, whites that have a blue undertone in it. We want to look for something more, that is softer, a little bit more yellow, but make sure it's not this yellow. Okay? And we're going to change the black into gray. It can be dark gray, medium gray, all grays will look good on you. Okay, now moving on to the fun part, makeup. Yeah. So for those of you with a higher contrast and warm tone, spring category. Okay, this is what your makeup is going to look like. Your makeup shades. Yeah. Something like what Pauline is holding up here. So this is what your pink is going to look like. Something more peachy, more coral. So it's not going to be something like this. Okay, so you want to ditch this kind of white. Want to look for something like this, more peachy. Okay? Eyeshadow, blush shades, and lip color. But to help you guys a little bit, we have already prepared a guide. Yeah. All of these brands from American brands. So we have lip shades, blush shades, as well as eyeshadow here. Okay? Okay, I see all of you have your phones handy here.
Stop, stop.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, go on.
Okay, we're going to move on. Now this one here is for winter. As you can see, the colors are a bit more scary, yeah? They're a bit darker, more purple, something like this. Okay, so it's more fuchsia, striking. Now in practice, your colors are going to look a bit more like this. Okay, yeah. So your eyeshadow, instead of the ones that we see in the local market, they're usually more brownish shades, right? Brown, peach, oranges. We want to switch to something that is more gray. So grays, plum shades, lavender, something like this. Okay, and your lip shades are going to look more bolder. Yeah, so purples are actually going to work for you. Purple blush as well. Yeah, a lot of people are scared to try purple blush, but on those who have a winter season, the purple won't look purple on you, if that makes sense. Okay, so if winters wear a purple blush, it's just going to look natural. Okay. Okay, moving on to autumn. Again, these are the colors that we usually see in the local market. Yeah, more brownish, more brick shades, something like this. Yeah. So just because autumn is a warm undertone doesn't mean that they cannot wear white. Wear pink, which essentially is a cool color. Yeah. But we want to mix your pinks with more browns. So it's going to look something like that. Okay.
So technically, it's deriving this peachy spring and adding more brown into this.
Okay. Next one, summer. Yeah. So if you want to imagine this is more Korean makeup, maybe, yeah. So more pinks, lighter colors, something like this. So the pinks here are going to have a purple undertone as well. So maybe if you see a lip shade, a blush shade that is called berry, yeah, berry colors, it usually looks good on summer. But just beware that some brands they might mislabel the products. Yeah, some brands might call the product berry when instead it's more something like this. Sorry. Yeah. So just make sure that you know what kind of colors you should look out for, not just rely on the branding. Okay? Okay, moving on to optical frames. So
Okay.
I see a lot of you here are wearing eyeglasses, right? Yeah? So make sure to pay attention here.
So if you remember the contrast part that you just filled up, I know some of you are still confused about your results, so you can just go back and try to revisit that. But basically, this is very important to pick out our eye frames, and I think it is more crucial for us, for our male audiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys, you don't really wear makeup. I know the only thing that you can rely on is your to glow up is your haircut or going to the gym. I know. So I think if you wear glasses on a daily basis, if you have prescription, clicker.
Oh,
Yeah, I wear. You might want to look out what your contrast level is because, say, this one, right? I'm wearing something bold. Yeah, and it's really got on me. But if this were to be worn by Nana, so you want to wear
Okay.
it and
It's not
you
going
know,
to look
a live
as
demo.
harmonious on me.
See,
Yeah?
it looks a little bit off. It's the
Mm.
same product, but it looks like a cosplay-ish on her. It just looks like a costume, and on me it just looks so natural because I have higher contrast, something like that. So this is a guide. Happens to be Saturday's collection because they're our brand partner. On the top side, we have the cooler version. So basically, if you're cool tone, try to avoid gold accents, browns, or even like a muted kind of beige, rose gold. Try to avoid that and just stick with silver, black, or even navy. That would be good. and just kind of like see which contrast you fall in. So I think this can serve as a tip as well. If you couldn't like determine what your contrast is from the selfie just now, you might want to like go to a eyewear store. You may go to Saturdays and just try on their glasses with this kind of like category. So if you fall under the high contrast, you would look really good on the bolder frames like what I'm wearing. Yeah, and so if you're wearing something that's not completely bold, say something in the middle, and you still feel like I think something's off. I think it's better if I go bolder. Then you might have a higher contrast, something like that. But if you're like Nana, who just now looks very weird on this kind of frame, you might want to look out on like a more translucent kind of frames. Yeah, with each corresponding cool or warm tones. This is another example. So there's also like a moss color for the warmer tones, or the translucent we have like a more pink purple-ish kind of tones. Um, for the warms, we have if you have high contrast, maybe not completely brown, but like black with accents of gold, like what I'm wearing. And in the middle, we have the metal kind of frames. So if you're warm tone, try to wear gold or rose gold. If you're cool tone, stick to silver or black. Okay. I think that is all from us today. Thank you so much for listening. Please come again for next week because we will be handing out e-certificates for those who come for both sessions. So today and the session next week, right? And what we will do next week is actually pretty fun. We will be deriving the color theory, the color wheel, all those factors in practice by mixing paint. Yeah. So yeah, we'll give you a demo on that, and it'll be more interactive as well, like today. And also, the 2 lucky participants will get a color analysis. But no worries. If you're not lucky yet, maybe it's not your year. You can book us. Our Instagram is right there, .qr, or you can just flip your booklet, the questionnaire. At the back, there's a QR code. You can send that. It leads to our Instagram. If you want to book a consultation, a color analysis, private one, maybe go with your friend. Our studio is based in BSD area. So just DM us there. Okay. And this is something, an option for those of you who are more on the professional side of the industry. So say you are in the beauty industry. Maybe you're a beauty entrepreneur, creators, or you happen to be a makeup artist, a designer. If you do hair, brows, we actually offer certifications on personal color theory, so you can actually apply that to whatever you work in. Okay, and I think that is all from us.
That is all from us.
Nana, anything else you'd like to say?
I'm just really thankful for all of you here. I hope that we helped you to learn a little bit more about yourself and in your journey to glow up as well. Okay? Okay. Maybe hand the floor back to Kain.
Okay, thank you so much, Polene and Kak Nana. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our event today. I hope you guys learned something new today. And don't forget to come to the next session next week. And earlier, before this event started, I asked a little trivia question. And the question was, in the context of personal color analysis, which of the following is not one of the main seasonal color types? And the answer is monsoon. Congratulations to Yeti Fafut from Instagram for answering the question correctly. And with that, we have reached the very end of today's event. Everyone, again, thank you so much for coming with me, Andrea, and see you at the next At America event. Bye-bye. Sama kawan-kawan yang tadi